Hey guys, I've been playing the recent Star Sector patch, and I wanted to test if 10 devious little outdated Grendels can overpower the Hegemony core world Armada. And if you don't know, this is a new feature in the recent patch where every faction gets a super powerful fleet that defends its home world. And the Hegemony gets an especially powerful one because they have a pristine nanoforge at Chico Moztak. They have 8 onslaughts in this one, 2 conquests, 8 of those vindicators from the ship and weapon pack, 10 or 12 dominators, 5 or 6 eagles, etc. And we have 10 Grendels and a dream. So these are safety override Grendels. It is a very good build in my opinion. I've refined it a lot through fighting this fleet against everything in the game. It kind of just beats everything, which I didn't expect. I've never had another fleet that legitimately wins against everything. This beats the Tritachyon Bounty Hunter fleet, which I've never had another fleet that does that. The only other thing that I know of that beats that fleet is a bigger phase fleet. I'll probably upload a video showing that fight. But yeah, so at the start of the fight, I go ahead and take care of these small things to avoid them backcapping. I don't want them to take our command nodes away while we're fighting the main blob. I have reckless officers in these Grendels, so they're going to be very aggressive and go right up to those capital ships and start laying into them. The reason my DPS is that high, first of all, I have 3 assault chain guns on this build because I'm fighting the Hegemony. If I was fighting Tritachyon or the Remnants, by the way, I set full assault on to make my officers even more aggressive. If I was fighting Tritachyon, I would put 3 heavy machine guns. I'd swap up the ratio, basically, to break those shields. But we're fighting the Hegemony. They're very armor heavy. And the reason this does so much DPS, I mean, you can see I'm just melting ships, even solo, is because I've built in armored weapon mounts, which gives a 10% rate of fire bonus. And I think this is actually multiplicative with the ship system. So it's actually more than 10% DPS increase. A bit of a nerdy thing there, but yeah. The one thing you want to try to do with a Grendel fleet is try to attack the same target that your Grendel bros are attacking. It really is, you know, you become bigger than the sum of your parts, so to speak. And we're setting up a pretty good contain here. I do have reckless officers, and they're set to full assault, like I said, so they will get right up in the face of the enemy. I think the AI for the Grendel has been improved since the last patch. I think Alex, who is the developer of Star Sector, worked on it a bit. Yeah, another thing you want to do is try to avoid the explosions from ships. This is a problem with all safety override ships. The range is so low that you will often get caught in the explosions from dying ships, and you have to back up to the absolute limit of your range. And sometimes on the Grendel, you have to phase while bullets are still in the air and back up using the increased speed from the phase. I got hit by an EMP tornado, or a torpedo there, but it did nothing because the Grendel has a built-in hull mod that decreases EMP damage by like 50%. But yeah, this thing is actually a little monster. I'm focusing the conquests here because they are the most resistant ship to being surrounded. If you have a surround setup on an enemy fleet, you want to kill the conquests first because they have no like rear side. They will do full DPS from any side that is facing you. So it's impossible to surround them unless you want to target them ASAP. I also want to target these things. These are from the ship and weapon pack. They're a modded ship, and they have a very powerful high explosive cannon that will chew through my Grendels, so I want to go ahead and take care of them. I try to target the high explosive cannon once the shields are down. If you can break any high explosive weapons that you see on a ship, it really reduces the damage coming to the front of your Grendel while you're uncloaked. And another thing to take note of is a lot of ships will have mainly kinetic weaponry, because, I mean, a lot of ships in this game rely on their shields, and the Hegemony knows this. It builds anti-shield fleets, but we're an armor fleet, so we kind of just don't care about kinetic damage. Kinetic weapons deal 25% damage against armor. It's like getting tickled, basically. You can see that Dominator right there has railguns. Those do nothing to us. We can uncloak in front of him and it's fine. This is why I let the AI control the weapons, by the way. You can see how it's splitting the damage. It's shooting the armor target with the assault chain guns and the shield target with the heavy machine guns. I think it's only worth manually controlling weapons at longer ranges. But yeah, this is proceeding nicely. We haven't lost any Grendels yet. And their combat readiness is going down. So we're going to push it. We're going to be very aggressive with our Grendel. And the reason I didn't cloak for those Reapers is because when your ship system is active, the DPS from the assault chain guns is so high that they will melt things like Reapers. You don't even have to think about it. We are taking a lot of hull damage here, but it's kind of a necessity because we need to finish this fight before the combat readiness of all our Grendels starts to go down. This is a safety override fleet, and safety override reduces combat readiness time by like 3 times. We have like 300 seconds to finish this fight, more or less. Well, there's more time after that, but yeah. So we have to be very aggressive, we have to push it, and we also have to be careful about big chunky capital ships like onslaughts reinforcing and building up a new kind of core of the enemy fleet. We don't want to reach a scenario where they have like 4 or 5 onslaughts on the field and they break out into the center of the map and we no longer have a surround. That would be very bad. We would probably lose if that happened. So we need to be very aggressive here and start taking out those capitals. I go ahead and focus this Grendel down, Grendel on Grendel violence, simply because he's already surrounded. It just makes sense. Now we're going to start laying into these capitals because we really do need to get them out of the way. They have 8 onslaughts in this fleet, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, they have more of them. They're going to start reinforcing. It looks like we've already won, right? But probably half their fleet still hasn't deployed. We're actually getting really low in our Grendel, and I think our hull is no longer repairing. So we got to start thinking about how do we get the maximum value out of this. You can retreat your Grendel, and I just want to get the maximum value out of it first, and then I go to retreat. Just kidding. Now, these are Grendels, okay? So they are always recoverable after the fight, which means you can use them as Grendel bombs. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to target this onslaught, strip his armor with my assault chain guns, and then bam, 90% of his health gone. And that's how you get the maximum value out of a Grendel. You never retreat them. Transfer our command through a shuttle into the new Grendel, fresh one, and then we'll loft over to this badly hurt onslaught who got Grendel bombs, and we'll finish him off. Again, try to be at the perimeter of the explosion so you take the minimum hull damage possible. Finish this Dominator off with a really good surround. You can see how quickly things melt when they're surrounded. And I see a conquest, so we're going to try to at least flux him out. When their flux is high, their DPS goes down significantly. But this guy will wreck my Grendels if I let him stay alive. And it does look like I'm going to be able to take him out here. I have another Grendel shooting him. I try to avoid his missiles because they do quite a lot of damage. Alright, so we're running into the problem I was talking about where they are reinforcing all their big chunky ships right at the end. And kind of a problem. We have to be very, very aggressive about pruning them if we let these guys sort of create a frontal wall for other smaller ships to reinforce behind them. Then they have their whole fleet structure back and they're no longer surrounded. So we have to aggressively throw ourselves at these onslaughts. We'll Grendel bomb again if we have to. I don't think we're going to need to, though, because I'm not counting, but I think this is all of their onslaughts. It's close. Like, if they had one more onslaught, we would probably have to Grendel bomb to win this fight. You can Grendel bomb, you know, 10 times. You could do it with all of them. And sometimes it's necessary to do that. For this fight, we probably could have gotten away with less Grendels. We could have deployed like 8 of them. Because this is a pretty good margin here. We have several Grendels alive, and this is their last onslaught, so... I guess that's it. That's the last guy. So there you go. Oh wait, okay, there is one more onslaught down here. I heard my Grendels smashing into him. Let me go ahead and wrangle them together. I guess you'll get to see a really ideal surround here in the endgame. Let me zoom in a little bit. It's kind of fun to look at the particle effects. You can see all the weapons break very quickly from the assault chain guns. So if you see a high explosive weapon on the enemy, you kind of target it, and yeah. There we go. Hegemony Core World Armada taken down with 10 Grendels. And it kind of wasn't close. There you go. I'm going to upload some more videos of this fleet fighting endgame content. I actually beat the Tritachyon Bounty Hunter fleet with only 5 Grendels, which is kind of insane. I'll probably upload that. And you can see I'm recovering all my Grendels here. Oh, they actually have some as well, so yeah, we profited Grendels. You can always recover enemy Grendels as well. They never get broken. I'm also going to upload a video soloing the Ziggurat with 1 Grendel. It's a pretty interesting build. And yeah, feel free to follow if you want to see more Grendel sector. Anyway, till next time. Bye-bye.